Let's get back on the continent now. At the General Assembly in Cairo, Samuel Eto'o, an imposing figure on African football.
Great footballer.
So great footballer. I mean, you don't go to Barcelona and do the things that he did if you are you don't know what you're doing. He's now an administrator. I see he won his case at CAS. He can now stand to be elected for a seat at the Exco at CAF.
I think the most exciting one is to see the name of Samuel Eto'o, unopposed. And I know it's been tough for him. He had to appeal to CAF, he had to appeal to CAS for him to be declared a candidate. What does Samuel Eto'o mean to be in the CAF executive?
I think it's a symbol, and it's very important to have someone like him as like a formal international top player on decision board. Maybe he will disturb some plans or some people, but really I'm very happy to see him on this position, because as he was a player, he's a fighter. He fight to be here. No one like give him a gift or call him to have this position. He fight until the last time, and he get his position, and he deserve. Now he have to work and not like maybe to transform this decision of CAS and his presence in Exco on something better, because one more time, Africa need this for African football and even the institution, because we talk a lot about the football and everything, but the institution had this fabulous history. We know that people, like when they create this institution, we have to remember it, how this institution was created and all the difficulties. I don't know how to say it in English.
But would you be surprised to see him appointed by President Motsepe as his vice?
Yeah, this is the point I wanted to talk about. I think he deserved to be a vice president, because one more time, he's 100% legitimate. You know, Samuel Eto'o he's the future also, and he's like he's a brand. He's Samuel Eto'o, you know. No one can ignore him in the international football institution, or even like the fans. And it's important to have this kind of person. And I think, the vice presidency should go to Samuel Eto'o, just because his name, his palmarès, all what he did as a player, and we will see what he can do as a politician.
Merci, Nazeem.
Merci à vous.
He's a man who controversy follows him around. He's got these ups and downs. What do you make of this man as an administrator in African football?
I think he's brought in an element of fresh energy. I mean, it's something that we've all been crying about, that we need our former footballers in charge of our game, because they understand where they're at, and even in terms of maybe player welfare, it's something that they would speak better because they've been there. But his administration has been hit and a miss. I mean, there's been some scandals with this dodgy partnership with the betting company. So he hasn't really been a good poster boy of why we need former footballers to come in, because I think that's one of the challenge with former footballers, and we see it even here in the country, where they think that just because they played their game, that is enough for them to be administrators. There's a whole lot of things that you need to be there. You need, in terms of your competences that you have to show them. Just knowing the game is not enough, because at administrative level, it's very different. And you look at someone like Lucas, for instance, he's said on a number of occasions that he wants to be COSAFA president, which is great. But what has he been doing in between to show that, one, he can be a good administrator, and that this is something he wants to do beyond just the name? Because one of the things that, like, for you to be eligible to SAFA is that you have been in a SAFA structure. What has it done from when he was barred for running because of that to now? But you'll find him talking when it's next elections that we need to have former players doing this and that. So I think our former players should not just use their title and what they've achieved to come into this position. They need to invest on the administrative side, because it's a lot of work it's not just showing your face, because showing your face is impressive, because if a CEO who's some guy with an MBA steps into a boardroom and says, I need 10 million to sponsor our youth structures, or Eto'o or a Lucas Radebe saying that, there's a lot of difference. Because
they'll listen to
Eto'o. I mean, they even want to take pictures with them. So it's something that they need to capitalize on. And I think Eto'o, when you look at what he's been able to do and achieve, I think he's not done a lot of good to give people belief that former footballers can make good administrators, because of some of the scandals and where Cameroonian football is at. I mean, there's been some hits and there's been some misses, but I think I wouldn't say it's a success so far. I think there's a lot that he needs to do. And him, I mean, when you look at what is done in Cameroon football, with no disrespect, I think it's a bit ahead to suddenly jump to CAF, and I think that's one of the problem in these positions, because what you've done in your association or in your region should be something that paves your way for you to go CAF, there. Yeah. It should not be about who you know, the star power that you bring. You can't have an association in disarray and be in the CAF Exco, because what is it saying in terms of that you can't keep your house in order, but now we must trust you to get the whole of African football to fire, and that's been the challenge, is that most of the time we've not had people with the genuine good interest of the game and people who've done well in their associations to deserve to be there. Because the success is not just about your national team winning the AFCON, it's the state of your football. I mean, when you look at Morocco, for instance, now, Morocco can stand up with their chest up high. The national team has not only done well, but they've invested in their football. I mean, where the national team trains is something that countries like South Africa should have had 10 years ago.
European teams during the summer, they go and camp
there. You look at the investment they're working in women's football, and that's why in the Champions League and even in the AFCON, most of the teams that are competing, it's them in South Africa, because of the investment that both countries have made. So when you look at where Morocco is and what they've been able to achieve, if someone from the Morocco Football Association says they want to be in that position, they want to be in the FIFA Council,
it's understandable.
You can't hate, because there's a blueprint of what they've achieved. And I think even in the names that are currently there are some where that should have even be something that qualifies you to go there, because when you look at the checks and balances that are there for you to be eligible, some of them are very technical, some of them are very petty. They don't look at the actual job that is needed to be there.
Yeah.
I think the state of your association should be one of the things that either qualify or disqualifies you, because you're not going to help us if you can't help your people.
I guess you partly answered the question I'm going to ask now, to say, if Eto'o gets into the ESCO, do you think he can be maybe also parachuted to become one of the vice presidents of the president?
I mean, based on what
because
is
that
done,
talk is there.
Yeah, based on what is done, he doesn't deserve to be there. The scandals and some of the misses, and also he's still young in terms of being an administrator, and you're obviously going to have those teething problems. But he's not done enough to say this is someone that we can trust our football with at that level based on what is done as an administrator. I think the problem with things like that is that we get emotional. We look at what he's done as a footballer. I mean, no one has brought more excitement in the AFCON than Eto'o. I mean, that Cameroon national team was just ridiculous. And we get tinged with emotions in terms of like, that's the Eto'o feels. But as an administrator, we haven't seen that Eto'o, and I think he still needs to work on it. So going to the Exco at the moment, to be blunt, is more of a vanity thing than in terms of solid work that has been done to deserve to be at that level.
One of the imposing figures of our football is Andrew Kamanga from Zambia. He was in the country recently. He's crisscrossing the continent over the last few days, or whatever you want to say it. He's also vying for that FIFA Council position. Those are the big seats.
That's the big one. And I think one of the things that I've always find strange, when you look at COSAFA as a bloc, they've been very powerful in African football. I mean, it's them who essentially led the push that dethroned Samuel Eto'o They brought in Ahmad, who was a complete disaster.
Yeah, I know.
And even
the least said about the guy, the better.
but even in terms of the succession of Patrice Motsepe, COSAFA played a massive role in terms of using their voice, because when COSAFA wants to, they speak with the united voice, and they've moved African football. But it's strange that despite whatever they've been able to achieve at CAF, I mean, they dethroned the longest serving CAF president. They've essentially, their campaigns have put in two CAF presidents, one who's was a complete disaster, the other who's dramatically changed South African football. But that power has not necessarily translated to a bigger voice and a bigger president when it comes. I mean, Dennis Jordan tried until he gave up to get into that position. so that's also the thing, is that like, in that it's weird in terms of how do you translate that power that you seemingly hold in the continent and then move up to get to these positions. And I think that's why COSAFA has not always been represented in the FIFA Council, despite the power and that the bloc has. And when you listen to Kamanga in terms of some of the ideas that he wants to bring, is someone who brings excitement. I mean, you look at even with Zambia, where they are as an association, you can see the positive steps that they're taking. And those are some of the people that, if given a platform in terms of looking at from what they've done in their house, they can try and do more in terms of pushing the African agenda at FIFA.
Yeah, to see how influential COSAFA can be. Pinnick of Nigeria was here. I'm sure he was meeting people at hotels at night. Isha Johnson from Liberia was here.
I mean, it shows there's so many people that come. And I mean, COSAFA, it's strange when you look at it, where they've been in the footballing map. I mean, national teams, club levels, not been the most powerful. But as a political bloc, COSAFA has moved mountains at CAF. In terms of, currently it's where the biggest power base lies. Like, you can't be a CAF president, so to speak, without the approval of COSAFA. And I think that power needs to not just be in terms of politics, but it also needs to translate to the associations and the football in the region benefiting from that. It's no use celebrating having COSAFA people at the highest office, but COSAFA is not benefiting, because even though you're not there just for COSAFA, but it's something that you should take with passion, that this is where I come from, you understand their challenges, and try and help to give a leg up.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Kamanga was here in the country not so long ago, and our man Willem Nyandu caught up with him. Let's hear what he had to say.
Well, I think this time around the commitment seems to be there. And of course, the reason is simple. It amplifies the need for equal representation, because having this open-ended arrangement will obviously tilt the balance. But CECAFA took a decisive position to back their own, because they only had one candidate. The same with COSAFA. I'm the only candidate. And then the rest of the candidates are coming from the north as well as west. So if we can stick to the agreement, it will obviously give us a good push to get closer to the finish line. But as you rightly pointed out, at the end of the day, promises are promises. What matters is turning the promise into that vote. And I think we want to see the commitment from the members for both CECAFA and COSAFA. If they do deliver, then certainly we are in with a shout.
And I remember the last time I spoke to you, it was around the issue of the removal of the languages and also the geographical spread. Do you still maintain that was a good move?
Well, I think basically what it has done is it has created an opportunity for those with quality to be given a chance rather than restricted through language. I mean, I'll give an example of 2021, the moment President Motsepe won. Those of us from the Anglophone were in a tight spot, and we had to withdraw and allow Pinnick so that we maintain a balance, because we got the presidents, and on the other side, we needed to look at our colleagues from the West as well as CECAFA. But now it's open and there's no limitation, so it's free for all.
Well, we are here in Cairo, that is here in Mina, just on the eve of the CAF General Assembly. Everyone has been talking about it, these CAF elections that are coming tomorrow. Of course, CAF President Patrice Motsepe coming back unopposed for his second term, but there seems to be more tussle for the FIFA Council positions, not so much maybe for the direct CAF Exco elections when you see it. I'm joined by one of the well-respected African football journalist, Mr. Nazeem Bessol, coming from Algeria. You've been following these elections. Nazeem, welcome to African Football Connect podcast. What can you say on the eve of these elections about them?
I think it's like every election, it's very difficult to make today a prognostic, because we know that there is this special night before the vote. So we have some information. We know that there is like some protocols, some accords, some discussions, but maybe we have 6 positions open for the vote. We know that at least maybe 3 are fixed on behalf of what people said, but I'm not this kind of person or journalist who believe everything. But even if it's sure that a guy like Fawzi or Hani, who is hosting the event, or even Ahmed Yahya, who got the support from FIFA and he's very have a lot of connection, are favorites. But if we go to the vote, we can be like sure, it could be different. We have no insurance about the result. But now maybe the idea is that these 3 positions was given or fixed for these 3 people. But we also have a problem with the case of Senghor, who is like the first vice president. How can the second vice president go to the FIFA Council and not the first one? We're talking about Waberi, who is the third first president. It means if we respect some logical, Senghor should be the one who is legitimate to go. Exactly. But now, on what we are hearing here in Cairo, it's very, very difficult. But as I tell you, this night, I think it will be the special one.
Tonight, indeed. One of the things I've just sensed, but people are not coming out. And that's why we end up just talking to each other publicly as journalists, is also the so-called interference, allegations of maybe FIFA directing member associations on how to vote.
Yeah, this is, I think, the problem, and this is maybe the main thing here in Cairo, that maybe people start to change mind, or start to change the way of going to the election. We know that in 21 there was this famous pact or protocol of Rabat, when Senghor removed his candidacy for the presidency, and he get the first presidency, and everything was fixed by the FIFA, by people of FIFA, from FIFA. But now we are we see that there is some opposition to this way, and even as you said, people doesn't talk out, but they speak with the president, with some friends, and it's just a feeling that something is happening, maybe a change, something for a real change for this institution. But from my point of view, I think this is maybe the beginning of something. It means that after Cairo, the election would not be run by the same way as in Rabat or even in Ethiopia.
So member associations could surprise us tomorrow.
I hope, because this institution needs that. So we need to have people who are in action, making proposal. It's been a long time we didn't see a proposal, for example, on FIFA Council, Congress from Africa. What was the last proposal of Africa for the football, for the development? It means that we are part of this institution.